Track action though of 2024 well and truly underway as Jorge Martin plots the defence of his World Championship, now of course on board the factory Aprilia. Didn't take him too long to get acquainted to the RS-GP this morning, went on just his second lap of the day. Had a good stint on the factory Aprilia, 45 laps. Martin alongside him 41 laps. So yeah, Fabio Quartararo, we're told, or we believe that there's quite a different chassis on that Wiser M1, an updated engine, a little bit of new aero. No sign though.
As I mentioned, we'll be hearing from his future team boss, Nico Goyon, over the course of the afternoon.
So there are Jorge Martin's factory Aprilias, the gold stars on the front of the fairing, as he was MotoGP star pupil, wasn't he, in 2024 season that Martin will not be forgetting for the rest of his life. He actually did win one less Grand Prix this year than 2023. 4 Grand Prix wins down to 3. Crucially though, the key stat was he had 8 more podiums at 16. That was double compared to last year for Jorge Martin. Only 5 second places he totaled last season. That got ramped up to 16 this year. Just the clearest indication of just that really paid.
The second round of the season in Porto, 40 plus points from Aaron Canet, the runner-up himself, said, whilst I might be the fastest rider in Moto2, Ayagura is able to win races and ultimately win the championship without being the fastest. He has made the fewest mistakes and he has been the most consistent. He is such a cool, calm and collected rider. And yes, it's been a slightly difficult start to his MotoGP life with a crash this morning. Ayagura will take all of this in his stride.
First Japanese world champion since Hiroshi Oyama back in 2009. The first non-Kalex winner of the Moto2 World Championship since Marc Marquez all the way back in 2012 for Suter. Doesn't happen very often, does it? Japanese riders winning world championships at Grand Prix level. Ayagura, just the 7th Japanese world champion in history, as Jorge Martin conducts another debrief out of the gold chair and the gold helmet. He's going to keep us guessing throughout the winter, isn't he, the cheeky so-and-so, about whether he will run the #1 plate in 2025. It is all pointed towards the fact that, having worked so hard to get hold of one of the biggest prizes in racing, he's going to make sure that he runs the #1 rather than his traditional number 89. I say he's been smiling a lot, hasn't he, inside that helmet all morning so far this season. And now then, the MotoGP grid has taken his Jack Appleyard with all the information. Down to you, Jack.
Yeah, good afternoon everybody. It's nice to be able to see not only riders in new clothing, but a lot of team personnel, as you say, in new clothing as well. We get the chance to chat to them on such a frequent basis. It's always exciting to see them with a new chapter ahead. So I'll go through factory by factory. The key changes, as I'm sure you guys have been mentioning, as you've spoken about at length, in the factory Ducati squad, Pecco Bagnaia remains with Christian Gabbirini and Marc Marquez, Team Zarco in the Pramac squad, and with Andrea Iannone. Firstly at Ducati, then he made the switch across with him to Suzuki as well. In VR46, a man that you're going to be chatting to soon, Fabio Di Gianantonio, a couple of Flamini, previously Marco Bezzecchi's crew chief. In Gresini, Frankie Carcetti is now with Fermin Aldeguer, whilst Alex Marquez continues with Donatello Giovinazzi. In Yamaha, Alex Rins welcomes on board David Munoz, who has been with the VR46 concern for the past couple of years, whereas Fabio Quartararo continues with Diego Gubellini. In Pramac, all changed there. Jack Miller teams up with Giacomo Guidotti, who's just been with the Honda outfit, and Luca Marini, whilst Miguel Oliveira welcomes on board a new crew chief, Luca Ferraccioli, who's been signed from Ducati, another big signing for Yamaha, who have been active in the market. He's a data engineer that has been based with the VR46 squad, but contracted to Ducati over the past 3 to 4 years. At Honda, Christian Pupelin, Jack Miller's old crew chief, is now with Luca Marini, whilst Joan Mir continues with Santi Hernandez. Somkiat Chantra will take over from Taka Nakagami with Klaus Noles, whereas Johan Zarco continues with David Garcia. Francesco Venturato, previously the performance engineer for Maverick Vinales. At Trackhouse, it's Giovanni Matardes. Pedro Acosta, what a partnership he's found with Paul Trevathan. They continue, bringing pretty much with him the entirety of the squad that he started with at Gas last year. And at Tectois, Manu Cachot moves across with Maverick Vinales, and interestingly, Enea Bastianini teaming back up again with Alberto Giribiola. We know how successful that partnership was in the past. Let's see if they can rediscover that magic. So it's all change up and down pit lane, not only for the guys on the bike, but for those working on them as well.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks very much, Jack. Thanks for that rundown on who's going to be where crew chief wise in 2025. Now, we promised you a sea of special guests throughout this Barcelona test, and I'm delighted to say the latest one to join us is Pertamina Enduro VR46 racing team rider Fabio De Gianantonio. Of course, Fabio would have been desperate to have been out on circuit here today, testing the GP25 Ducati for the very first time. We know that Fabio missed the last 2 Grand Prix of the season while he stepped away to get very important surgery on the left shoulder that he dislocated. That's Jorge Martin, the world champion. We know what a show he provides us with those shoulder down shots going through turn 5, but this time around gravity taking over, so that's the first Aprilia crash for Jorge Martin, his first crash as a world champion. What did you make of this?
Yeah, maybe display get the front tire a bit colder. We know that in the left side of this track is always a bit tricky, and maybe at the first touch, let's listen. Yeah, you see, the first touch of the throttle is where you lose it. Yeah, I was thinking about it.
Fabio, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I just love your story, I love your journey, because I remember pretty much 1 year ago, I was hosting the press conference in Valencia, and you arrived that weekend. You'd bought a set of plain black leathers, hoping that you'd be taking part in the Tuesday test. And then, of course, now we fast forward 1 year, and you are going to be on a Ducati GP25, the same motorcycle as Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez, two of the best, not just of the modern MotoGP era, but the two of the best in history. Just talk us through this journey you've been on for sort of like the last 12, 13 months or so, because I love it. You know, you're a great example of never giving up, always pushing and fighting. And as we say in English, there's a phrase, good things come to those who wait. I mean, just talk to us about, I mean, this time last year, you didn't even know if you had a ride.
Yeah. My journey is quite particular, let's say. You know, mate, when I was young, honestly, I never had a plan B in my mind. I always wanted to be a MotoGP rider. Once I arrived here, I always believed in me and in the work that we were doing. I always believed that I could do it. So, you know, this thing is a thing that I understood that I have in my life, that I really believe a lot. I like to dream and try to achieve that dream. You know, it's not just a dream, it's more a goal. So I like to set goals and achieve it. And from last year is what we made. It was this, just when I was almost without a seat, make the best. Once we done it, what's the next goal? Okay, let's try to find a seat, because now we improved as a rider and we got it. Is to be consistent and bringing a high level in every race, and we've done it again. I think that anything is possible.
Here on screen is the other. Is your goal to be fighting with these two guys next year?
I like to don't put gold
crowned in Jorge Martin, such a tense final round. Of course, he's a rider that you were teammates with back in his overall assessment of his championship season, and how impressed have you been with him?
I like what he done, because I know him since, as you say, since many times, and he worked so hard for this. Has never happened that in the MotoGP area that a private rider, and I think won the best this year.
Fabio, you've been in that very sort of fortunate position this year in particular, where you've been able to have access to Pecco Bagnaia's data, to Marc Marquez's data as well. Riders are always constantly looking.
Every rider has some particular things, and Marc is amazing on the left corners. He's really amazing, but he needs a lot on the right corners. Pecco is amazing on the brakings. On the brakings, maybe he's the best Ducati rider. Bastianini was the best in terms of keeping the tires fresh for the end of the race, and Martin was just, and luckily this year my lever was not that bad, so the difference was not that big, let's say, and also was difficult sometimes because the bike was different. But yeah, for sure I have many areas to have to improve, and for sure we will.
The bike next year, I mean, obviously the factory team, Pecco and Marc, well, they'll have the majority say, but I mean, I'm assuming that because you're on the same bike as them, Ducati are open to your feedback, your comments, to help them also develop the new bike?
Yeah, I think they will listen to me more from Sepang, because for sure all my infos were based on the 23 bike. And they said to me that already the 24 bikes have what I was asking for from the 23. So I think from Sepang they will start to follow me more about the directions of the bike. But also they are quite happy about my way of saying things, my crew chiefs, but also Gigi has always said that I'm quite precise on the comments. So this makes me proud, and also it means that maybe I can really help the Ducati.
Your journey through MotoGP, but also through the lower classes. So how much does it mean to you to be in a position with a Ducati rider now? Is there a moment where you take a step back and just look at the journey you've been on, look at where you are now, and just have a bit of pride in yourself?
From him, you know, so this moment is just great.
Fabio, I know you're going to want to go back out and watch some of the bikes again, see what's going on inside the garage. Thanks for turning up. We've loved your company. Always an absolute pleasure to talk to you. We wish you well through the winter with your rehabilitation, and we can't wait to see you taking the fight on the GP25 to Paco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez next season as well.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here commentating with you. I hope to not do it again because it means that I'm on track.
No offense taken.
But also we can make it for Moto3.
Yeah, you're always great to hear the thoughts of a current MotoGP rider, of course, Fabio Di Gianantonio. We wish him well in his winter rehab of the Aprilia.
Reflecting on Fermin Aldeguer's as well, because it's not exactly been the traditional route up to MotoGP over the years. Of course, you normally associate 3 years back to 2020 it's a sort of subclass in lead-up squad, won the championship at the age of 16 before then getting an opportunity to move up into Moto2 in the World Championship with Luca Championship. Fair to say he's made a few mistakes this season in a campaign where he was hotly tipped to be the Moto2 World Champion this year. Understandable, given that he is still in his teens, that the odd mistake would come for Fermin Aldeguer. But Ducati identified 12 months ago that this was a rider that they wanted to be part of their sleeve when the 2024 season began. Ducati have seen something in the young rider from Murcia, and I think we're all excited to see what Fermin can do on a GP24 with Gresini next year. Yet another rapid talent to come from Spain, and big things are expected of him.
Yeah, Gigi Dall'Igna said yesterday when he spoke to the media, he has absolutely no doubt whatsoever that Fermin Aldeguer is going to be a top MotoGP rider. He even went as far to say that he would not be surprised if in 2 or 3 years' time Aldeguer has established himself as a title contender in the MotoGP World Championship. That is how highly Dall'Igna rates the teenager. Fabio Quartararo and Jack Miller having a little bit of a debrief themselves. I'm sure Fabio very interested to get the early indications, the early impressions about that factory Yamaha from the Australian, of course, fresh off the KTM. Recent Ducati MotoGP experience as well for Jack Miller. Probably picking up a few riding tips as well here from Quartararo, who's had a great start to 2025, second on the factory Yamaha. His teammate Alex Rins just a whisker outside the top 10 in 11th place. Miller's best so far of the day, a 1:41.116. That's just under 2.4 seconds away from the best time.
That was Fonzi Nieto, whose back was to the camera there, speaking to Fabio Quartararo and Jack Miller. I'm amazed that Fonzi's got any fingernails left after the weekend, where he could barely stand still while Jorge Martin was trying to win the World Championship, successfully winning the World Championship on Sunday afternoon. Of course, a very different challenge for Pramac as a team, isn't it, going into next season? Having fought for World Championships in the last couple of years, they're now part of the Yamaha rebuilding process.
Looks like a few comfort tweaks here for Jorge Martin. You can see his Aprilia crew there is Daniele Romagnoli as well. You can just see the body language from Jorge. I think he was just trying to say sort of narrow or small or something here. He's just having a detailed discussion. Of course, this is why you go testing. Yeah. It's to iron out all of these not issues or problems, but it's just to find yourself as comfortable as you possibly can. I mean, they'll study data, there'll be photographs, there'll be videos of Jorge Martin, both in the garage and out on circuit, where the engineers back in Newali will be crunching the numbers in the winter, and they'll be potentially making some sort of bespoke riding position parts for Jorge Martin. And he just hops off that RS-GP. You can already see that there's a proper big chunk of foam on the rear seat, both of those Aprilia.
quite a brilliant picture. Video was put out on social media of Aleix Espargaro essentially introducing his replacement Aprilia, but suffice to say that this is as weak as Jorge Martin is going to be on that Aprilia as he gets more time on the motorcycle. Of course, the final 2025 spec RS-GP machine is wheeled out onto the racetrack in the tests that precede next season out in Sepang, Malaysia, and then the final pre-season test which will come at Buriram, the home of the first race of next season, which takes place right at the beginning of March.
Seen a couple of times out on circuit, both Martin and Bezzecchi. Just see, of course, they're so accustomed to the brilliant rig provided by the through the Catalunya corner. On board with Bez at the moment, he's down in 16th place. I think Martin's probably around where he would have expected to have been, around a second away from the best times. And there's no gas involvement now in the MotoGP World Championship. Well, KTM have just decided to bring everything under the one factory umbrella. So there's no longer gas Tech 3 on the grid. We've got the Red Bull KTM factory racing team and Hervé Poncheral's French-based squad are now known as Red Bull KTM Tech 3. I think that's an across-the-board move as well in Moto 3 from the PM Mobility Group.
Might make it difficult for us to tell the four bikes apart next year. Let's hope there's a little bit of a difference between the two liveries of Tech 3 and Red Bull KTM, because in Moto 3 there wasn't much of one.
Well, we're going to hear from new Red Bull KTM Tech 3 boss Nico Goyon a little bit later on this afternoon. It was clear there was a bit of mix and match on the uniform still going around yesterday. Popped my head into the paddock yesterday and Nico had an orange and black Red Bull KTM. Oh dear. Jorge Martin, a bit more drama there for the Martinator, lighting up that rear tyre.
Looking over saying, hey, that was my problem for the last couple of years, Jorge.
Yeah, welcome to Aprilia. Jorge. Yeah, Nico Goyon, he got the orange and blue official KTM jacket on. He's still got his red gas shoes on. He was like a rainbow walking through the paddock. Like that nearly. Yeah, Maverick Vinales looking over and going, welcome to my 2024 pal. So Martin then, that was obviously shortly, not long after the tip-off at turn 5 for the current number 89, as you can see, emblazoned all over the back of his special test leathers. When we next see Jorge Martin on the factory Aprilia in Sepang in early February, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked. He's not carrying that number 1 plate.
Yeah, surely he's going to be running it. Quick progress check on our rookies, by the way. Fermin Aldeguer has just put in a string of personal bests. He's into the 140s now, 140.778. He's anywhere from around 1.5 to 2 seconds off the pace. As Vinales is on to the grass on the way out of turn 9. I think Aldeguer can be pretty
certain place. And 1 second then in the Austin Grand Prix, followed up immediately by a second in the sprint in Jerez. More sprint podium win in his rookie season to, well, when will he win? Of course, ultimately it was a winless season for me. It was not just the ride of a Costa season, it was one of the best rides of the entire championship. Second in that Mandalika battle in excruciatingly hot conditions. I mean, that's what, a month or so ago since we were in Thailand. He's still got the shoulder in a sling. He's had to keep it mobile for a good 3 or 4 weeks, but the good news is, as he said,
and he's kind of been to the school of hard knocks in MotoGP. As mentioned this morning, there were times in 2022 where he must have thought that he was out of his depth in MotoGP. There must have been times in 2023 when he thought he was going to be out of the door in MotoGP, but he has overcome all of those obstacles to the point where he is now one of just 3 riders. That is such a vote of confidence and such a seal of approval from Ducati, that with just 3 GP25s available next season, 2 of which go, of course, to the factory team with Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez, that they are entrusting Fabio Di Giannantonio with the other for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, as he mentioned, some feat to miss 3 Grand Prix, and then, wasn't he, in the braking zone was the beast. And you saw the aftermath in the gravel. Thankfully, Enea looked okay. But crikey, that was a second-hand RC16, wasn't it? That was a very, very badly damaged motorcycle. Not too sure what might be able to be salvaged off that one, because it took a real whacking in the gravel trap. Broken bikes can be fixed. Broken bike riders need a little bit more time. At least it looks like Enea at Bastianini, and he was relatively okay.
He just set his personal best lap time of the day at Enea. Seconds before that, he just done a 140.264, got into 15th place, but that run came to a screeching halt, didn't it? And that KTM that he was on was absolutely wrecked after it went barreling through the gravel trap and might have made it as far as the fence down there at turn 5. As you mentioned earlier on, it's a very easy thing to do there, and that's
on the left-hand side, but that was it. Quick polish, and he was ready to go again.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. All part of the learning process, all part of shortening the learning curve as quickly as Jorge Martin can do. He comes into a manufacturer that has a lot of promise and potential, no question about that, but probably have only won 4 MotoGP races throughout their career. Pecco Bagnaia won 11 on his own this morning. Jorge Martin, I think, wants the red flag here. I think he's just come through turn 5. This might be some debris maybe from the Bastianini crash. It looked like he might have just been indicating there with his left hand that we might just maybe need a pause here to clear. That's what, yeah, there you can see. There's a lot of sort of dirt, dust and debris that's been kicked onto the outside line there. So I think Jorge Martin, having come through there, he's crashed further round, hasn't he, in turn 5 himself. This was the Bastianini crash. Look at that. Bang, he goes down his left-hand side. Multiple barrel rolls through the gravel trap. That was a real nasty one, a real vicious one for the beast. And as we saw there, there's sort of a lot of dirt, a lot of soil, a few bits of bodywork on the track as well. And I think that's why Martin was waving there to sort of say, hey guys, can we just maybe red flag this for a couple of minutes, let the marshals come out on circuit and just clean this one up. As crew chief Daniele Romagnoli looks on. Turn 5, yeah, shaking his head a little bit. I think he feels like we should just pause the action here and maybe just offer the chance for the marshals to just clean up that sort of dirt and tricky downhill first gear corner. Let's just hope that Enea Bastianini is okay. Can't say the same for his wrecked RC16. Here with the set on what will be an unforgettable 2024 campaign for our new world champion.
Every last lap, every last corner of information you can get on this Aprilia RS-GP, but it's been such a mentally draining year for him. So much hard work goes into winning a MotoGP World Championship. It's not just the 40 minutes that you see on the racetrack on a Sunday or the 20 minutes or so of a sprint. It's every practice session, every qualifying session. It's all the training and all the mental preparation you do away from the circuit as well. He's having a chat there with Paolo Bonora, the team manager. We can see our own Simon Crowbar, I think, there in the background as well. And I think Jorge Martin is saying to Paolo there, we could do again in this session red flag for a few moments just to clean the track up. But boy, has he gone to
Yamaha for 2025. I just wonder how the hangover was, how the headache was yesterday morning. I'm delighted to say Gino Borsoi joins Jack down in pit lane.
Yeah, there's a wry smile on his face as you say that. Let's talk 2025 in a moment, Gino, but first, congratulations. I think they still can count 2024 world champions. How was the party on Sunday?
Well, it was an amazing day. It was a big party inside the garage, full of people. All the paddock was inside our garage. We drink a lot, 185 bottles of wine.
185?
Yeah. It was a nice moment. It was a nice moment because I start to feel the
2025 starts with the new bikes being delivered, 2 new riders being delivered, new crew chiefs on both sides as well. This is a big project you've undertaken.
Yeah, big change for us. They delivered the bike, as you said, yesterday morning, and we start straight away to build up the bike also start our new relationship with the crew chief and some electronic. A lot of Japanese people inside the garage to help us to start in a better way. And well, a lot of things to do, a lot of things to know, a lot of, let's say, system to understand.
And Ethan Guevara, what's the idea there? How hands-on will you be inside that box?
Well, for sure, the Moto2 Province with us and Yamaha is part of our target, let's say big project. It's important for Yamaha to have Moto2. They
spoken nothing but glowing terms about the incoming world champion Jorge Martin. That's what a stellar season. Manuel was able to put together 10 points, the narrow difference then at the final reckoning, as he just missed out on being just the 10th rider to win 3 successive MotoGP World Championships, which would put him in some very elite and illustrious company. That accolade previously has only gone to the likes of Duke, Surtees, Halewood, Agostini.
Jorge Martin, is this his first real attempt to push on board that factory Aprilia? Certainly birth there, still on the way into turn number 5, where we've already seen him crash earlier on today, but the world champion certainly appears to be pushing on, although he has left a lot of time go in that second sector. It's not a day to necessarily be chasing of the stoppage, of course, given it's a test day rather than a race or a qualifying session. The clock continued to count down during.
It wasn't as well for the Marquez brothers at the Sachsenring in Germany. I think a lot of people, as soon as they thought Marc Marquez was going to be on a Ducati, it was almost like there was he by that monster crash he had in practice down through turn 11. That really did rattle his cage, left him 13th on the grid. 13th on the grid at the time, twisty Sachsenring normally means you have not got a prayer of fighting your way through to the podium. Hard to overtake in MotoGP, hard to overtake round the Sachsenring.
The bike that Enea was riding is a straight-to-skip job. It is absolutely ruined. So, not the best way to start life in orange for Enea Bastianini, but he has got the second bike pretty much ready to go. I'd imagine we'll see him back out there fairly shortly.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. Yeah, we saw on the images trackside that there was barely anything salvageable, it looked like. Maybe the engine, everything else looked like it was going to be confined to the wheelie bins around the paddock here in Barcelona. Jorge Martin belting out another tune for his crew chief Daniele Romagnoli. What do we think he's doing now?
Not bad. Mayo, thank you for your time. Enjoy those well-earned holidays coming up.
Yeah, you too. See you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you next year. Thank you, Mayo. Thanks to Jack Appleyard. Actually, while we're on the subject of the 2025 pre-season testing campaign, Mayo there just saying that they're looking forward to a nice long break before we're back on track in late January. Yeah, just a few dates for your diaries. The shakedown test, of course.